Good morning and happy Friday. Welcome back to the pod, guys. This is the Sage Sorority. I'm your host, Shantel. The Sage Sorority is a digital sisterhood where the only dues are your ears, never your dignity. Every week we gather here to unpack womanhood in all its many facets and dimensions, the soft, the messy, the sacred, and the beautifully contradictory. If you're new here, make yourself at home, grab a cup of tea, grab a glass of wine, whatever you fancy. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, leave a cheeky 5-star review, and come hang out with us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We would love to see you there. If you like this episode, be sure to share it with a friend. The best way to grow the show is to share it with like-minded babes that are just like you. Today is Friday. Happy Friday, guys. We don't upload on Fridays. Thursdays are our days. But frankly, your girl is tired. I have spent 3 weeks in Dubai, came back home what feels like for 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes, couldn't even really unpack properly. And I am talking to you from Toronto. When I tell you your girl is tired, your girl is tired. All good things, not complaining. But yeah, that basically explains the late podcast and just kind of the blah that I've been feeling lately. This Sunday is Mother's Day. So for me, Mother's Day will always be synonymous with May. My UK girlies, we know that Mother's Day is in March, and I've seen somewhere that this is called International Mother's Day. I don't know if that's a thing, but honestly, I think most people celebrate Mother's Day in May, mid-May, and then Father's Day is mid-June rather than the opposite. So all good things this weekend. And actually, my mom, who is also a big fan of the Sage Sorority, so thanks, Mom, and also encouraged me to start the podcast, gave me the idea for this week's episode. She encouraged me to talk about mothers in some way, some form, because it is Mother's Day and we love our mothers. We love the ones that are here, the ones that are gone, the ones that are present, the ones that are absent, the mothers we have a nurturing relationship with, the mothers we have a complicated relationship with, all of the mothers. And to my mother, I love you down. Thank you for everything, past, present, and future. And to all the mothers out there listening, you guys are true heroes in real life, but you're also just a girl living life, getting through it day by day. So for today, tomorrow, forever, we love you, we honor you, and this episode is for you. So let's go. So as you can tell by the title, it is actually called Mothering Ourselves. And I wasn't sure which angle I wanted to take with this episode because motherhood is so dynamic in so many ways that it's really hard to fully scratch the surface, both as someone who's not a mother, but then I also think even when you are a mother, because you have such a global primal experience, but then as a human, you know that your experience is your own and can look and feel so different to others. So I actually wanted to frame this episode in a way to kind of hold space for the many different facets of mothering and how we can do that for ourselves and for each other. So let's just start at the beginning. What is self-mothering? Self-mothering is the act of giving yourself the love, patience, protection, and compassion you may not have consistently received, even from a loving parent. It's not about blame, it's about responsibility, but a loving kind of responsibility. There's a book called Discovering the Inner Mother by Bethany Webster, and it's a really good book. If you suffer from a quote-unquote mother wound, or there are key things in your life that you know maybe you should have gotten or you didn't get, because at the end of the day, our moms, our dads are first-time humans doing it too, and they're really just people figuring it out as they go. Sometimes they give us their absolute best, and sometimes their absolute best is still not good enough, and we hold space for both. But Bethany writes, "We must have the courage to release the pain our mothers have asked us to carry for them." And basically, when she talks about the concept of the mother wound, which is the inherited pain and patterns passed through generations, this book is not about bashing our mothers. It's about seeing them as human and freeing ourselves from the silent burdens that we may have inherited. At the end of the day, guys, our parents are our first examples of everything: civilization, society, how things work, adults, love, all of those things. And you either learn through your parents, like, this is the way to do things, or you might also learn, these are my parents and this is the way to not do things. Both are valid and both happen all the time. To truly heal, we must become the mother we never had for ourselves. She goes really deep, offering exercises and frameworks for reparenting. But if you've ever felt stuck between gratitude and grief, love and anger, this book is truly for you. So maybe your mother was kind but emotionally unavailable. Maybe she was overwhelmed, distracted, absent, or even wounded herself because, again, maybe she did her best and it still didn't meet your needs. So this is something that I have learned through my own life and through work and research, and just having insane amount of empathy for a woman being in this world. Your mother is also someone's daughter. She was once a little girl too, shaped by what she lacked, who she had to be, and what she wasn't allowed to feel. And I'm not saying this as an excuse for everything. Truly not. No one can excuse the trauma that you went through in your life, not even your parents. But what I'm hoping it can do is soften some edges. And if gratitude feels a little too difficult right now, start small. You don't have to find the big moments, but you can find the small ones. And I really want to drive this point home, because I think if you do have a complicated relationship with your mother, it can be very difficult to hold on to some good and run with that, especially if you had a complicated relationship with your mother when you were younger, and as an adult you still have fragments of that relationship. It can be very difficult, and it's not going to change overnight, and you can also only control yourself. You cannot control who your mother is, who she was, and who she will be. But this point right here, I really want to drive home because I think it's so important. Is there anything in the smallest of smallest memories and reasonings and joy that you can be grateful for? Something as small as, did she ever cook your favorite meal? Is your favorite meal something that your mother cooked for you? Did she let you stay home from school when you were tired? Did she pass down a trait, a scent, a superstition, a funny little quirk that really only you and her share? Gratitude does not mean glossing over reality. I think that this is also really important because often people hear gratitude, they hear toxic positivity, and it's like you just have to forget all the bad stuff. And it's not about that. I think if anything, what I harp on a lot in this podcast is life is so gray, but you can still hold profound space, gratitude, respect, and love in that grayness. Like I said, gratitude doesn't mean glossing over reality. It just means honoring the complexity of your unique relationship with your mother. Here's a really good quote from this book that I'm going to talk about a little bit more later, called All My Mothers by Joanna Glenn. It's a fiction book, but this is like so poignant and I love it. She says, "Take it from me that a fragile mother is a scary thing for a child. It feels like your whole life is made of paper." I think that is such a beautiful quote because as children, we crave stability even when we don't even realize it. And when our foundation is emotionally fragile, it leaves its mark forever. Okay, so what about if you've had a loving mother, still have a loving mother, but you still feel a little bit lost, right? Like, our parents are only human. They can only give us so much. The world gives us a lot, and then we fill in the blanks as we go. And that holds space. You too have to learn how to mother yourself. Because even if you had a present loving mother, life keeps evolving. No one can experience what you're experiencing for you, if that makes sense. You grow into a woman with dreams that she might not understand, heartbreaks she can't fix that she might not be able to relate to, decisions she's never had to make. So you might still find yourself needing more space, more validation, more love, more mothering, and that is okay. I think that this is such a beautiful point because we can often play like, well, my parents weren't drug addicts and I know that they loved me and I had food every day, and I went to school, and I had a home to live in. So like, I can't complain. And it's like fair because that's a real scenario, but that doesn't negate things that you might have still been missing as well. And that's okay. Like, it doesn't have to be the most extreme situation of parents for you to feel like maybe there was something that you're missing. I just want to make that clear because I do feel like we do it to ourselves, right? It's like, well, it could totally be worse. So like, there's nothing really to complain about. There's nothing to heal. There's nothing to fix. And it's like, no, that's not actually true. And again, this is not about blaming your mother, and this is not about replacing your mother. It's really just about meeting the parts of you she couldn't always reach. And that's okay. It's really important for us to remember that our mothers may not have known what we needed. Yes, parents are supposed to anticipate needs, but again, they are human. They are souls having a human experience. And sometimes things go missed. We may have told them, or they may have not had the tools. Either way, unspoken needs still shape us. They shaped us as a child, they shape us now, and they will shape us in the future. This goes for all relationships. And I also want to emphasize that mothering ourselves and what that looks like isn't something that starts or stops with childhood and adulthood. We come from our mothers, we need our mothers, and then we also have to fill in the gaps and mother ourselves. For some people, those gaps might be a little bit larger than others, but we all still need it and we can all still benefit from it. I just want to emphasize that point before getting to the next part. Now, for everyone who's listening that is a mother, how can you mother yourself while also being a mother? And this is really tough, especially when your children are young. Obviously, as time goes on, things get slightly easier, but you will never not have that mothering experience, right? It is one of the most profound, I think it's the most profound experience a human can have. And I believe, even though I'm slightly undecided on children, I do think that as a woman, and I guess in some ways, like as a man, I do think that if you are like, I want the fullest human experience I can ever have, I do think you have to be a parent. Like, I really do think that. Doesn't mean you have to be a biological one, but I do think, like, when I think of the human experience, if I think of a circle, I do think being a mother is part of that circle. That doesn't mean it's for everyone. That doesn't mean everyone should do it. But if you are the type of person that is like, I want to know the fullest expression of myself. How big can my heart really expand to? What are my real limits in this life? I do think being a parent is part of that. Don't ask me where I got that from. I just spend too much time in my head, guys, but that's just one of my like tangents and philosophies that I've come up with. But anyways, for the mothers who need to mother themselves while you also still mother, first of all, I see you, I recognize you, I tip my hat to you because that is not easy. I see a lot of TikToks where it's like when you want to have a mental breakdown, but you have kids. And one was like this woman who's like crying, sliding down the wall. And then like every like 20 seconds or so, like a kid asks for like a toy, like, can you open juice? And it's like, you can't even be depressed in peace. Like, you just can't. And it reminds me of a line in one of my absolute favorite movies, which is P.S. I Love You. I love that movie so much. It makes me so emotional. And I swear they said they were going to come out with a part 2 and they never did, which is very annoying to me. P.S. I Love You stars Hilary Swank and Gerard Butler. And for those of you that don't know, Gerard Butler and Hilary Swank are married, no children. They have a cute life together. They hate each other. They love each other, but beautiful couple. And then suddenly he gets, I think, brain cancer and he ends up dying. And the movie basically details all these letters that he wrote to her throughout the first year of him being gone. It's so incredibly touching, so incredibly moving. Great casting. Her mom plays Kathy Bates. and her two girlfriends. One is played by Lisa Kudrow, obviously Phoebe from Friends, and Gina Gershon. And they're literally the three of them. They're in Ireland in this boat in the middle of the lake or something like that. And Gina Gershon says something around the realm of, it's a privilege to be crazy. And that always stuck with me. And she's talking about it in the sense of like, if you want to be like depressed and crazy and like 2 seconds from a psych ward, like it's a privilege to do that. Like, because you don't have to work, you don't have to think about bills or whatever. And it just always stuck with me because it's true. It's so true. And I'm reminded of that line when I think of mothers, even like when kids are sick, and oh my God, kids are always sick. That is something I never realized until my sister had my niece and nephew. Like, kids are always sick. It's absolutely insane. And it's just like, well, what happens when you're sick? Like, who's taking care of you? Who's looking after you? Who's loving on you, who's checking on you. And that makes me sad a little bit because it's like, yeah, you're a mother, but you still need that too. And that's basically what I want to harp on as well. Like, I want to remind you that you don't stop needing mothering just because you've become one. You might even need it a little bit more because in the chaos of raising little people, you often forget that you're still a human too. You're still that person that you were pre-children, one who also needs gentleness, space, support, love, compassion. So for my mothers out there, here are some little takeaways that I want you to try and implement in your life. They're relatively easy, but I do think that it's all about practice, right? So I hope that you take these and kind of implement them into your life. Take 10 minutes to breathe, stretch, or sit in silence after you put your kids to bed. Resist the urge to go to TV or to scroll on your phone or to clean, because I know that's a big one for moms. Just everything will happen after the 10 minutes. Take 10 minutes. I'm not saying you should work out. We don't have to do that if we're not in that space, but you're literally going to take 10 minutes, set it on Siri or Alexa, and you're going to breathe, you're going to stretch, or you're just going to sit in silence and let your brain come down. If you're feeling fancy, you can also meditate. And I also just learned that meditation increases gray matter in your brain. Oh my gosh. I was trying to meditate before, but now I'm really going to actually have to do it, guys. Like, it can increase gray matter in your brain. Meditate, breathe, stretch, sit in silence, whatever. After your 10 minutes, go on about your business, but take that 10 minutes. Number 2, speak kindly to yourself when you mess up, like you would do to your own child. I think this is really important. Compassion and empathy is a universal thing. It's a universal need. And hot take, if you struggle to give yourself compassion and empathy, you will struggle to give it to your children. You will struggle. You cannot talk to yourself harshly and unkindly and then think that you are only going to rain down sunshine and lollipops to your children. It just doesn't work that way. Humans don't work that way, And kids don't only learn from what you say, and we all know that they often learn, if not more, from what you do. So start by giving love inward and it'll radiate outward. I really believe that. You want to ask yourself, what would I want my child to learn from how I treat myself? I think this is really important, and it's really important for girls and boys, but I'm sorry, you guys know how I roll. It's really important for little girls to look at their mothers in a certain way. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You teach self-love not just by saying it, but by modeling it. There's a really good quote from Joanna Glenn again, and she says, "It is surprisingly possible to feel deep joy inside deep sadness." I want that to marinate because you don't have to be fully healed or put together to mother well. I want to make sure that I'm emphasizing that point. This is not about perfection. You'll never be it. You'll never have it. So throw that right out of the window. Wholeness and motherhood includes contrast. I'm going to let that sit for a little bit. Okay, so we've talked about what is self-mothering, navigating complicated mother relationships, when you have a loving mother but you still feel like you need a little bit more, how to mother yourself while being a mother. Now we're going to talk about some practical ways to also self-mother, okay? How we do these things in real life. So a couple little everyday practices can be, which I spoke about earlier, things like I'm learning instead of I failed. I'm trying. Each day I get better and better. I give my kids what I have and I give myself what I have. Feed yourself like you matter, with intention, not just convenience. Everything is connected, guys, mind, body, and soul. This is also one that I thought about and I think is so beautiful and pure and a really good way of mothering yourself. Stick with me. Your bedtime routine. This probably gets wrapped up or gets looped in with like self-care. I used to wake up pretty like jarringly as a kid. Like we used to set alarms. My mom would come in and be like, it's time to get up for school. And it was never like a slow Victorian, like whimsical way of like getting up, right? I don't know how you were woken up when you were a kid or if that even stuck out to you, but that is something that sticks out to me. And I know it sticks out to me because now I'm in my 30s, and one of the things I love most about my life is that I have slow mornings. I live for a slow morning. And it's not because I'm not a morning person. I actually am a morning person. I'm not a night owl. I like the idea of nurturing yourself and mothering yourself when it comes to waking up and going to bed. So we're gonna go back to my original point of your bedtime routine. Create a little bedtime ritual. Maybe it's a little magnesium butter over some sore spots, which might I add has been very helpful lately for me, like around my shoulder. A little bit of lavender lotion on your hands, clean sheets, nice pajamas. It doesn't have to be every day, but just like nice, clean, whatever feels good, and a quiet moment. Like truly like tuck yourself in. Glass of water by your bed, maybe some chamomile tea while you're winding down. Like tuck yourself in like how a mother, a dream mother, a fictional mother would tuck you in as an adult, or what you wanted as a child. I think there's something so beautiful about that. And then for me, on the flip side, it would be ensuring that I wake up peacefully. Like maybe I still have an alarm because I need an alarm, but maybe my alarm is going to be something soft and welcoming and something to ease me into the morning, and not like a very jarring, loud, like ambulance type alarm, which is just like awful, you know? Some other deeper practices you can do, especially if you're a journal girly, is a really good journal prompt is, what do I wish my mother had said to me growing up? Now, this might be a little tender for some people. I imagine it would be, but if you're interested in diving deeper, I think that's a really good prompt to get you going. If you're like, you know what, I just don't have the emotional bandwidth for something like that to speak to my mother, what you could do is write to your inner child, write to the 5-year-old you, write to the 12-year-old you, write to the 18-year-old you. I think that's so beautiful. Like, what did they need to hear? Say it now. Maybe you can talk about all the cool, badass fucking things you've done since then that they would be so impressed by. I think that's a really nice way too, especially if you feel like a lot of this deep thought is very heavy. You can always add like lightness to it by saying like, hey, like back then, this is what you cared about and look at what we've done since then. And I know you'd be so impressed by that and so wowed by that. I think that's so beautiful. And that's such a genuine, pure, and effective way to mother yourself. If altars are your thing, photos, symbols, scents, even if your mother isn't present, you can build a space to honor the mother energy you're cultivating in yourself. I think this is really beautiful if your mother is no longer with us in the physical sense. Having an area of your home that has her picture, a candle, maybe some crystals that really resonate with you. Maybe you frequently have fresh flowers in that area. When people come into your home, it shows them such a piece of reverence that you have for this person in your life as you go about your day, because we know the days are long, but the years are short. It gives you a moment to pause, reflect, and show immense gratitude to someone that means a lot to you. And I think that's really special. In Bethany Webster's book, just to circle back to that, she offers a framework that I think is really helpful. And it has like guided questions to identify your mother wound, tools for setting emotional boundaries with your mother, and reframing inner narratives with compassion and truth. And I think that that can be really helpful for those that are maybe looking for a little bit more when it comes to exploring their relationship with their mother outside of the traditional sense. And one of the most powerful quotes I think she has in her book is she says, "We internalize our mothers before we even understand the word mother." This is so key and also very real. Healing this internalization is the path to personal liberation. Healing this internalization is the path. It is your path to personal liberation. This is why this matters, and this is why I wanted to do this episode, because mothering ourselves is the path to personal power. I really believe that. So I know that this episode might have been a slightly unorthodox Mother's Day episode, and that was pretty intentional. Mother's Day is beautiful and radiant for many, but it's also complicated and tender for others, and maybe depending on the year, it could fall in any range of that spectrum for you. There's so much that doesn't get acknowledged in the greeting card, and I wanted to create a space for that. For every woman with a mother, for every mother who's just a woman, for every woman without a mother, for the daughters navigating distance, grief, resentment, reverence, or all of the above, depending on the year and the time and the space. Today we talked about what it means to self-mother, to step in as your own nurturer, protector, teacher, and soft place to land, which is so important in this life. We talked about how to start where you are, even when your relationship with your mother feels difficult, confusing, or incomplete, what it looks like to mother yourself even when you are a mother, and how practical, loving self-talk, rituals, and honest reflection can really help us rewrite the stories, guys, we have inherited. I want you all to know that you are allowed to hold grief and gratitude in the same fucking hand. It's wholeness in contrast. You are allowed to question, to remember, and to redefine. I want to emphasize, like, bold, italicized, underline that part. You are allowed to remember, okay? That's one thing. A mother's memory is great. A child's memory is greater, okay? I know this like I know the back of my hand. You are allowed to mother yourself in ways no one else ever could. Not because she wasn't good, not because she wasn't great, but maybe she just didn't understand you in the way that you needed, and that is okay. I want to leave you with words from the great Audre Lorde. I think this is perfect to sum up the episode. If you're familiar with Audre Lorde's work, she is iconic. One of her famous quotes are, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare." I hope on this Mother's Day you feel held, if only by yourself. You are enough, you are evolving, and you are not alone. If you loved this episode, definitely share it with a friend who might have a complicated feeling around Mother's Day, who might need some extra support. I think that this would be really great. That's this week's episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. A little tender, but all love. Happy Mother's Day from the Sage Sorority to everyone celebrating on Sunday. I hope you have a beautiful, safe, radiant, and just absolutely stunning day, and you just revere in the beauty that is motherhood and all that you've done. Where would the world be without mothers? There would be no world. And I just love all of you, and I'm in awe of all the shit you do on a daily basis. To my sister Shantel, who is one of the best mothers I've ever come across in this lifetime, and my own mother, who is spectacular in ways I couldn't even document. I love you both so much. Thank you for being such an amazing example of what motherhood looks like in similar ways, but also different ways. I'm so lucky to have my mother as a mother, and my niece and nephew are so incredibly lucky to have my sister as their mother. So for all of the mothers out there, I love you loads. Take care of yourself this Sunday. Share this episode with a friend, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.